I'm Denise. For those of you who don't remember, I'm the Director of Talent and Community at EM Marketing. And I oversee helping to put on these lunch and learns for you all. Really excited to have you all join. Today, we're going to do a pretty interesting session on the use of AI in our job search. And I know that's kind of like, it's already tough enough to kind of like search for jobs. And now that AI is like everywhere, it's probably pretty confusing or even overwhelming for some of you to kind of figure it all out, and kind of use it in a way that really kind of makes it feel authentic. I know personally from a recruiter's standpoint, like I'm seeing like even pictures where I'm like, that doesn't really actually look like the person. It looks kind of creepy to me. So that's where I'm like, moving on. But yeah, so we're going to use this session to really kind of help you like talk about how AI can actually support your job search without making you sound like a robot. And today's speaker is Sharon Markowitz, and she's the founder and career coach of her own company called Your Career Wings. She's also an EM marketing consultant with deep product and partner marketing experience at companies like Zoom, Intuit, and LinkedIn. She started her coaching business after seeing like too many one-size-fits-all approaches, and she knows careers aren't linear, but she's got a people-first approach, and she really kind of was trying to help people navigate these transitions and build new skills and land their next role with authenticity. So this session is meant to be an interactive session. We do have quite a number of people who have RSVP'd, but that said, feel free to raise your hand if you have questions during the session. And then we'll try to answer them in real time, or you can feel free to put your question in the chat. Mac is going to be monitoring the chat, so we'll try to get them as quickly as possible. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to switch it over to Sharon.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for the kind introduction. Everyone I trust can see the screen. Perfect. And yeah, and what Denise said, definitely like this is for you. And this is, by the way, why I love the team at EM Marketing. I've been working with Denise, Mac, as well as Danielle. I mean, they care about community. If this is your first time joining something like this, they're not, the typical, I would say, recruitment firm, right? They really care not only about their clients, but very much the candidates in terms of building the community. This is definitely not the first one they've done. They've also done in-person stuff back in the day. And with that said, yes, this is for you. So I'm super excited to share. So today we are going to learn about how to use your authentic voice with AI and job search. And by the way, any question is a good question. Interrupt as you see fit. So as Denise said, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Always happy to be a sounding board and just bounce ideas. And it's just nice to connect with others in the community. All of my coaching has been built on real world experience, worked at Zoom, LinkedIn, Intuit. I like to say all of my sessions are working sessions, in which we understand like what is your biggest challenge, and then I propose different ideas of how we can work through that. And then, whether it's in a GDoc, can't say, a GDoc or a G sheet basically today, we're figuring it out together. But I've been there, I get it. I have, no one's path is linear. I've transitioned from finance to marketing to consumer goods and retail into SaaS, and then across the SaaS space. So let's get started in terms of why we're here today. And we're going to start with a poll. Or no, we're not. I lied. We are going to start. We can get that poll up. Can you put, or sorry, just go for it. So the first thing is we just want to understand, like, what are your thoughts on AI? Like when you're thinking about it. So what comes to mind when you think about AI? Do you love it? Soaking it all up, trying to learn it, but not sure how? Oh, what do you need to know? I learn now. Or something else. And if it's something else, please feel free to put it in the chat. It's all anonymous, by the way. Okay, so do we share that right away or can we share that in a minute? We are gonna share it right away. I love it. Okay. So where we're at is, okay, love it. Soaking it all up is a third. Majority is trying to learn, but not sure how. Um, okay, no one said, ugh, what do I need to learn now? What are some things in the chat, Mac, that you might be seeing?
Oop, 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 oop.
Putting her on the spot.
Sorry. Okay, there I
No,
am.
we're working this together.
I like using it and trying to figure out the best way to go about it. I like using it, but not necessarily love it. Um, yeah.
Okay. Well, those are important. We're going to talk about that in a minute. This is basically just quickly the agenda where we're going to explore what you just shared with us in terms of attitudes on AI and make sure that wherever you're at, you're putting your best foot forward, right? Because as Denise said, we've got job searching happening potentially, and or we're actually working and still figuring out AI. So there's a lot on our plate beyond whatever other responsibilities we have. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we are going to learn how to use Notebook LM and conversational AI apps, which you may already be using, such as ChatGPT or Claude, for your job search. And it is very much going to be kind of a thoughtful discussion and then going into a demo. So for those who like to follow along, Mac did post in the chat, just in case the link, to Notebook LM. I'm not expecting you to be, completely knee deep in it. But again, for those who want to follow along, feel free to just open that up. You sign in with your Gmail account and then probably ChatGPT or Claude. And if not, you're going to learn them. So again, we're going to talk about how to create a style guide, which is your voice, how to optimize your CV as you apply for jobs, and how can you gain industry experience. Now let's take a quick look at what it means when we just got that feedback from the poll. So the reason that I'm sharing this is because, like I said, I want to make sure everyone is just putting their best foot forward and nothing is holding you back. Because I do know, depending on what each person's situation is, there can be things that come out in an interview, for example, or come out at work, right? That you don't intend to, but they just come out because there's something that maybe you're not as excited about. So for those that, the third of you that love it and they're soaking it all up, that's awesome. And I would say just keep using it wisely, right? Because I know that sometimes you can go down the rabbit hole on some of these things. So, just use it wisely to get the most value. For those trying to learn, but not sure how, I mean, it's like anything, it's trial and error. And until you start using it, you won't know. And the fact that you even showed up for today's session is awesome because you will be getting experience in AI that you could be using for job search or you could be using it for something else because the tools are pretty powerful. And then finally, I know no one said, what do I need to learn now? Just in case it's, or someone that just joined. I get it, right? There's been a lot going on. If you're looking for a job, you're also having to learn AI. And I think the key here is you don't have to be an expert, despite all the experts supposedly on LinkedIn. You just need to apply what matters most. So that could be one thing, that could be a few things, but it's not like, you're going back to school and need to learn a whole new effort despite all the news and so forth, right? It's an enabler. So now let's focus on how AI can help in your job search. So imagine right now that you own a library. It's your library and it's to support your job search. There are your books on the shelves, and those books, by the way, is like your CV. JD is short for job description. Style guide, which is something we're going to talk about, kind of your voice, and industry research. So that's all on the aisles, right? And it's what you put there. Now, along the way, you might need some help. So you've got some librarians in there. You've got a pretty robust budget, so you might have more than one to help guide you. So those could be former coworkers, right, that you sometimes lean on. And they also could be conversational AI apps like ChatGPT. So as you're in your library, you are the author. You decide what's on the shelves and how to use them. So now let's take a little bit of a deeper look on, okay, well, what does that mean in terms of the discussion today, and how does that apply with AI? So we're going to be talking a bit about Notebook, LM, and ChatGPT. So as you see, we talked about your library. So this is all yours. This is your CV, job description, style guide, writing samples, all your books, if you will, on the shelf. We've got a lovely librarian up here. Maybe it's ChatGPT. And then here you are unique to you. You are your voice. A style guide is what something we're going to be talking about. And if you are in marketing, maybe you've done a creative brief or thought about what's the voice of my brand, as in the company you're working for. Now it's about you, and that's what we're creating. Any questions so far? We're just getting started, but I just like to kind of keep things open. Okay. So we're going to start to build the library together, and it does start with your voice. So I'm going to share with you the deliverable of like, what is a style guide? What is she talking about? And then I'm going to kind of walk through the how-to. So first, I just want to reinforce that the reason your voice matters is that when you do apply to jobs, and if you are using AI, such as ChatGPT, recruiters definitely know when you sound AI generated. There's the long dashes. There are things like words like, span is one of the words that I've never used, except for yesterday when chatting with the team here, in any conversation I've had. And so there are certain kind of just robotic sounds that happen or mentions. The reason your voice matters is because, again, you are you. I feel like, that Dr. Seuss saying, in terms of just be you. And it's about credibility and trust. And a style guide ensures what you write actually sounds like you. So now I'm going to share with you what we're going to build so you have a sense of what the style guide is. And are there any questions in the chat? I see them, but I don't know if I closed it.
No questions in the chat so far.
Okay, cool. So this is also going to be shared with you later, but I just want to make sure you understand what the deliverable is going to look like. So we're going to use Shelly, the marketer, and her resume. But ultimately, this is the style guide. So this is the output from the inputs we're going to talk about. It talks about Shelly. What's her tone? What is her sentence style? What are her favorite words or phrases that she likes to use? What are phrases definitely to avoid? And then a quick summary. So if we go a little bit more into detail, you'll find Shelly is direct and confident, professional, yet conversational, strategic and practical. And again, we're going to see how we get there because it's based off the inputs you're going to choose. Sentence style, a lot of lists, steps, and structure to organize, ideas clearly. Sometimes long, sometimes, when unpacking maybe more strategic things. Favorite words or phrases that she likes to use. Got it. In short, customer, strategy, impact. Calls to action. Let's connect. Cheers. Words or phrases to avoid. Now, just as and again, you're going to get this after, is this may not come actually directly from the inputs. So it is important to make sure you're going to review everything anyway, but also to inform things that you don't want to sound like a robot, like the long dashes, or too much corporate jargon, certain things that may come from AI, or just things that you just don't say. And then at the end, there's just a quick summary. And just so you know, what's in this doc is ultimately a how-to, which we're going to walk through right now. And then it's the example, so you know what to expect. Okay. So the way you create your style guide, which I just shared, is it starts with identifying 3 to 5 of your writing samples. And writing samples is like a big word, because it's really almost like snippets of your content. Because we're talking about maybe a professional example where it's just the summary at the top of your CV or resume, right? Or maybe it's just the about section of your LinkedIn, assuming, you've reviewed it, it's not just AI, etc. So that's like a professional example. Then it's also something conversational. So maybe you sent a thank you note recently, or something else, that is conversational that would be relevant here. And then finally, it could be a LinkedIn post. It could also be an article if you've done that. But the most important thing is authentically you. You don't want to go ahead and upload like a presentation that you may have created for the sales team. And the reason for that is that's extremely structured. And we're talking about our resume. And even though it's going to be structured, your resume, and there's going to be certain ways to phrase things, we don't want it to become not you, because I think, sales enablement materials, as an example, usually, have a certain format to them. Then you're going to gather all that together. Then this is when you're first going to just go to ChatGPT. I'm not going to show you how to go to ChatGPT, just going to walk you through this for now. If you feel it's valuable for me to do that, just let me know, put that in the chat, and Mac will tell me. So you're going to prompt ChatGPT. I have that prompt on the next slide. I also have it in the takeaway that we're going to provide to you after. And then you're going to review it, right? Because at the end of the day, you're the author, and make sure it's relevant for you. So this is literally the full prompt that you want to put in. You want to say, these are my writings. So you're going to put this prompt in and copy or attach all the images that you have. So these are my writing samples. Do not use any prior conversation. Analyze only this text and create a style guide. Tone, sentence style, favorite words or phrases I use, words or phrases to avoid, and the overall summary of my voice. And then you will get the deliverable, if you will, or your style guide that I shared before. The reason this is important is particularly as you know, if you have been using ChatGPT and potentially Claude and others, oftentimes, there's different times you've used it and you don't want them to go outside of the bounds, if you will, of the ask. So that's why you want to say, like, do not use any prior conversation. And that actually works. Any questions so far? Okay. Now we are going to get into understanding how to start to build your library. And that starts with Notebook LM. So if you are kind of joining in just to kind of play a little, if you will, go to Notebook LM. You sign in with your Gmail account. There is a free and paid. Free is fine. I think it's not until you've used some things that they ask you to upgrade if you want. So now we're going to do the demo. So there have been some issues with Notebook LM, but let's see. So here, hopefully everyone sees the screen. So this is Notebook LM. And if you looked at all, I'm not quite sure, like this is, it's pulling from well, it's April 2025, but it's pulling from somewhere, I guess, different articles. And then this is basically my library, right? This is what I own. So, you know, you sign in, I'm using my Your Career Wings coaching business email. And then the first thing you want to do is create a new notebook. So the way to create a new notebook is to start to upload. And I'm going to show you this, and then I already have one already done, just in case. And yes, I have a bit of a messy download here now. But all right. So we have Shelley's style guide. We're also going to add, add. We want to add her resume. Shelley, the marketer, PMM, product marketer, and project manager. Okay. So we're going to start here, and then I'm going to go to the one I've already done. But the first thing is that the neat thing about this is in Notebook LM, I obviously just uploaded PDFs, right? But when you're doing job search, you probably have some links, and you literally can, as long as they're accessibly or publicly accessible and you don't have to there's no paywall, you can basically put all those links right here. So, and just copy and paste them. And that's pretty much your job descriptions. And let me see if there's anything else I wanted to cover. Oh, and the other cool thing is that, you know, maybe it's YouTube, right? Maybe there's something like, depending on what you're working on for this, you know, you can upload YouTube directly. You can also just copy and paste. You can, you know, obviously I was uploading sources from my laptop, but obviously Google Workplace works as well. So now you basically automatically it's, you know, creating a summary for you. But what I'm curious about is how Shelley, the marketer, shows up. And you can actually use this to learn about Shelley. So tell me about Shelley's, and actually just, we don't need her voice doc. We just want her resume. Tell me about Shelley's. So now it's going to create a summary of her resume. And this is where it gets kind of neat. Then I clicked audio here. It's now going to create an audio. We don't have time to wait. That's why I already have one created. So this is the one we've been working on. This is the one I had done before. So this one should be Shelley the marketer. And let me know if for some reason you can't hear this.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a bit different. We're embarking on quite a fascinating journey, really. Not through a standard biography, but by peeling back the layers of just one document, a resume. Our subject is Shelley the marketer. She's an SMB-sized marketing professional, 7 years of experience under her belt. And for those maybe less familiar, SMB size, that's small and medium business software as a service. It's a really dynamic market, you know, very competitive. Growth really hinges on, well, deeply understanding your customer.
Exactly. And our mission today essentially is to pull out the most potent nuggets of knowledge, the real insights from Shelley's career path. We want to explore how she, meticulously built this career. It's focused on GTM go-to-market strategies, which is like the whole plan for bringing something to market successfully. And alongside that, community building, driving customer growth. But the real question for you listening in is, how can we look at this resume, read between the lines, and not just see a list of jobs, but understand a genuinely compelling career story, and maybe glean some actionable lessons for your own professional growth and impact? How do you find that narrative?
Okay, let's unpack this then. So Shelley's journey seemed to kick off as an assistant program manager at Brightpath Media. So 2016 to 2018. It's like pretty crucial.
All right, that was too fast.
What sort of foundational skills do we see emerging here? The kind that maybe set the stage for what came later.
Yeah, what's really illuminating, I think, is just the sheer breadth of that initial exposure she got. The resume mentions she supported marketing programs across events, content, and social.
So hopefully that gives you a flavor. I think there's some things in the chat. But if you can let me know, Mac. But ultimately what this is sharing with you is that sometimes we don't know how we sound. Now, clearly, those two people that are talking as part of this are, in my experience, the two people that typically talk. It's kind of a conversation. But it's nice to kind of hear like what comes out of your resume from someone else. And quite frankly, the benefit of that is it will share with you maybe things you think are there but are not, or confirm those things that you thought that you talked about. Any questions?
No questions thus far, just pointing out that Notebook LM is currently experiencing issues, but that's it.
Okay, but you can see my screen.
Oh, we just got a question that came through. Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay.
Do you recommend using ChatGPT or Notebook LM to create your style guide?
Yeah, so that's where there's limitations. So you need to use ChatGPT for that. I would not recommend Notebook LM because it's really in your voice, and you're going to learn more about that when we look at how to compare your resume to CVs to kind of get that gap analysis, in which it's kind of a two-part thing. But in terms of a quick answer, it is use ChatGPT for your style guide.
And Gemini would work too, correct? Any large language model, so Gemini or ChatGPT.
Conversational AI app. Yeah, I actually don't use Gemini, so I'm not as familiar. Claude I wouldn't use only because it's a bit more direct, though it should also work the same. But yeah, check it out. And I mean, there's no reason it shouldn't work with that. If that's your go-to. All right, so moving along, so that's how you see, and this is a pretty powerful thing, right? You've got the audio, you could even do a video. There's something called a mind map, reports, quizzes, flash. There's just a lot here. In terms of our session, what we really want to focus on is understanding just the power of Notebook and then kind of giving you the kind of, here are the next steps to actually do this. And the next thing I would like to explore with you is just, now, Shelly wants to apply to some jobs, and she has her resume and she has her style guide, and she's already identified a few jobs. Now, the important thing here that I also have on like the slide we're going to go back to is you want to be intentional, about your job search strategy. And what I mean by that is, a famous person at EM Marketing named Denise, I think, told me that it is, that some people might believe that there's that, spray and pray approach, right? Just apply to as many jobs, something is going to work out. And it is possible something could work out. If that's been working for you, that's great. But the reason I bring that up is that what Shelly did is Shelly went ahead and said, maybe I might do project management, maybe I'll do product marketing, or maybe I'll be PR. Now, if we had just asked them, if I want to be direct on my prompts for just you getting the benefit out of this, if I ask them to review everything, what's going to happen is they're going to say, oh, you're not really a great fit for this role, but these two you are. Something like that. That does not mean, by the way, I mean, this is AI. That doesn't mean you should not apply. It just means there's more work to be done, right? In terms of your resume, in terms of transferable skills. So as it relates to kind of scale, here I'm going to write, identify, whoops, spell it correctly on a good day. Identify gaps in my resume compared to the product marketing JDs, so I can optimize my resume and suggest changes.
Sharon, if I may ask another question. So what's the purpose of Notebook in this exercise? So sort of the difference between Notebook and the conversational AI.
Well, the thing is that Notebook actually is your library. It's your content. When you use any conversational AI, it's not your content. It's your content plus everything else, right? So you're going to get a lot of just a lot of noise, quite frankly, if you were only to use that. And so this is, you know, using your style guide, using, you know, the job descriptions, and it's also a little bit more scalable because we're looking at two jobs, say, within product marketing.
Thank you.
And yeah, any questions? A good question. So here are the identified gaps in the resume, Shelley the marketer. So there's gaps that are common. Then there's some suggestions of how to enhance. Now this is where, you know, Notebook LM is not going to give you a bullet. They're going to just give you some suggestions no matter how you prompt it. It's not meant to be, you know, it's an LLM. It's not meant to be giving you content that you could go ahead and use for your resume. So now what you're going to want to do, whoops, is you're going to copy that. And oh, let me just go back. Sorry. So if we go back here, the other thing that you're going to notice is this one says marketing, product marketer, project manager. So it is important to organize if you're going to be like putting 5 job descriptions in there. Is it for product marketing or is it for something else? It helps you, but it also helps Notebook LM when you go ahead and prompt it to compare your resume against those. Okay. So I did copy, and we'll get there in a moment. So what I've kind of covered is, right, let's understand how to set up your library with Notebook LM. So, and now let's get a gap assessment, which I just kind of, this is where we are now. So start with Notebook LM, upload your CV, 1 to 2 job descriptions and your style guide. We talked about how the quality over quantity matters. Talked about how the grouping matters, like marketing and product marketing. Now we want to prompt with intention. Compare my resume to the JDs and summarize key gaps, suggest updates, you know, updates my voice, updates in my voice. And I did something like that, right? Obviously things are flexible. Then the next thing is, now I have copied the suggestions from Notebook LM. And that's where you do need to go to ChatGPT to rewrite or enhance key sections. So you could take that copy, and I'm not going to go through this with you, but it's going to, you know, you're going to go ahead and upload your style guide in ChatGPT and say, you know, rewrite the most important bullets on my CV with this text, and you're going to insert the findings from Notebook LM. And that's where you're going to have to, you know, iterate a bit, right? And also find your rhythm and figure out what works best for you in terms of these AI tools that you can leverage. Any other questions?
I think you sort of just answered it, but the question was, if you generally want to improve or update your resume, is ChatGPT a good resource for that, or do you recommend something else?
Yeah, I mean, I think ChatGPT is a bit better, though I do think, you know, Claude has its significant strengths as well. But because we have the style guide and you also have the don't sound like a robot, don't have the long dashes, don't use span, things like that, ChatGPT should be just as strong. So now, and you're also going to get, those that attended, also the recording sent out from this, but I know, again, feel free to ask questions as you go. So the next thing is moving right along is to, and it's 12:30. I know it says like 50 minutes or something, but is what is the hardest part of learning a new industry before an interview? As I know, you know, personally, sometimes I am applying, you know, I worked in SaaS, but one was in accounting it into it. Another one was at Zoom, right? Collaboration communication software. So those are still different industries. So what is the hardest part of learning? Select all that are relevant. Let's see the results when we're ready. It's kind of everything, right? So it's finding the right sources, too much information, not enough time, understanding customers and competitors, and turning knowledge into clear talking points. That's where, again, Notebook LM can come in. So, congratulations, you're going to become an industry expert. I put it in subtle quotes because it's not exactly, you're not going to be really an expert, but you're going to know enough. Congrats, you got an interview at Waymo. And we're going to learn now how you can use Notebook LM they could identify sources for you. I still recommend that you actually take the time and identify what matters most. So if you are in marketing, it's understanding market strategy. It's going to the website, maybe some of the latest news. It could be going to YouTube, maybe as a walkthrough of how something works. Just go to trusted sources. Don't go to Wikipedia. Don't go to, go to trusted sources so you know that you don't have to verify that after. And then similar to what we saw in the other Notebook LM, which was for your job search, is yeah, it takes anything. It can do YouTube video, article, reports, etc. So now we're going to go back. And so we're going to create basically an industry expert Waymo notebook, and we're going to prompt it with intention, and we're going to see what the results are. Okay. So.
Quick question in the chat.
Absolutely.
For your Notebook LM gap analysis, what was the content of the groups Shelley created? Just different resumes and job descriptions for each group, but same style guide across each group?
Yeah, so the style guide, let's just quickly go there and see. So basically these are the first 4 here are job descriptions. And, I looked to make sure they're current, right? Or Shelley looked. And then Shelley, the marketer, is her resume. This is her resume. It's about project management and product marketing expertise. And somehow by opening that, it created a mess. And then her style guide. You are you. Now, the one thing that could, to your good inquiry, and again, any inquiry is a good inquiry, is that you can also maybe consider, if it's not already covered in the job descriptions, maybe some more language about the industry. But ultimately, the voice doc is the voice doc. It doesn't vary. So just quickly in terms of a time check, so for industry expertise on Waymo, I did act as a marketer and identify different resources that I thought, I would care about. So if I'm a marketer and I'm looking for a job and I'm thinking about Waymo, where I know Waymo as a consumer, but I don't really know it enough, it would be, okay, well, looking for some, Waymo enters market, Waymo rides cost more, things of that nature. And then again, so there is a discover button where you can say, where you want to learn more. And then automatically it does summarize for you information here. And then I've already, this one, it's the same as the other: audio overview, video overview, mind map. This is a mind map, just so you know. Oh, if it's not created already, then we're not gonna go there. That's fine. So a mind map is basically just kind of taking what's the core of what we're talking about and then branching it out into different areas to go deeper there. So let's look at the Waymo paradox, which is the video. Let's take a moment to watch it just for 2 seconds to just show you like the differences here.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the fascinating strategy of Waymo, the robotaxi company that's found success by doing something nobody really saw coming, charging more than its competition. Yeah, you heard that right. So let's unpack this paradox.
Yeah, and then you can learn it's 4 minutes. You can also say, I want it shorter, right? You can do all those things. So it's pretty powerful. I kind of really love that one. And now that was the demo. And then any other questions so far?
None right now.
I do have a
So
question. Sorry, I have a question, Sharon, but it's actually kind of more from the earlier part of your presentation. So would you prefer for me to wait until the end so you can get through this?
sure, I mean, that's fine. I'm gonna close out. So yeah, but that's fine.
Okay, cool.
So any questions are good questions. So guys, keep them. Again, I want this to work for you. So this is just a bit about my career coaching business is so the way I start and I work with clients is I always start with like, what is kind of right, like a customer, like what is your biggest pain point? What is your biggest challenge right now? What's working and what's not? So it could be, I'm applying to a lot of jobs and I'm not getting anywhere. I don't know why, because I feel like I'm doing everything right. So there's still more than you realize that you do know. So we can unpack that and we can identify different things that, might work. Like maybe you're not networking with intention after you apply. Or, maybe it's like what we just discussed in this session here is just making sure that you do have in this market, you do need to make sure you personalize your resume best you can. Doesn't mean every single point. But that's also why you need a very targeted search strategy. It shouldn't be every possible industry that you're applying to within SaaS, if it's SaaS. Other people, is like, I work with a host of different folks, and someone got laid off in government and now they need to transition to the private sector and wow, and they haven't looked for a job in a very long time. And that's okay because you know what? We have multiple careers in our lives, even if we feel like we're at the beginning or at the end of working, depending on where you all fall. So, so we really look at that and transferable skills and things you're passionate about and what's your most important criteria, things of that nature. I've also worked with clients, that maybe are working at a startup and they want to get to a later stage company and they're afraid that their skills are not there. Or again, they're looking for career transition and need to identify those gaps. So here's some quick client success stories. So most recently, I worked with a senior marketer who is actually the example I just shared. He was at a Series A looking to get to a later stage company. And he was in marketing, but still I'm the coach. So I work with the person to understand, well, what's the job that they're going for? What are the few jobs that they're looking at in terms of the next stage in their career? And how can we identify skills and how can we get those skills? Another person, which is a very often thing is, maybe you're in-house and you want to go to consulting or you're a consultant and you want to go to an operating role, but you don't want to start at the beginning. So how do you do that? Because we all have good transferable skills. No matter what you guys think right now, everyone has transferable skills that will get them to that next job. And this one was really interesting. I worked with a woman, and I particularly call her out as a woman because she was very passionate about creating a women's group. So as an ERG, so it wasn't about a job, but she didn't really want to move forward or further, I should say, in her career. She was happy where she was. It was more that she just wanted to actually get more value out of what she does. And it was through an ERG. And how do you actually do that? So now questions. I don't know. Who is the gentleman that was speaking?
Hi, Stephen.
Stephen.
So kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier, one of the things that I kind of wrestle with is, and I'd love your opinion on, is, our experience is our experience. We did a thing and it's on our resume. And what I am oftentimes wrestling with is talking about that thing in a way that is modern and makes sense and is aligned with the job description. And so I'll use ChatGPT to kind of figure out how to say that. But then there's this delta between ChatGPT is recommending, here's how you present that bullet point, and then there's my authentic voice. And sometimes I'll look at a bullet point and I'll be like, yeah, sure, if that's the best way to present this piece of experience that I have, we can say it that way. Or do I make the call to override ChatGPT with my voice? Like that's the thing that I struggle with on that delta. So can you speak to that, if that makes sense?
Absolutely. So yeah, and it's totally fair. And yeah, I think we've all been there in terms of trying to figure out how to optimize things or revise things. But that's where the style guide helps. So when you upload the style guide and you have think it's in here. Sorry for the quick. Ba-dum-bum-bum. So when you upload this style guide on a good day to ChatGPT here, so it's rewrite the most important bullets on my CV, but you're going to be uploading your style guide, and you're going to upload the findings from Notebook LM to get there, and then they're going to recommend different ways to say that, and then you're going to have to be the judge, obviously, of does that work or not work. So hopefully it'll be more relevant than what you just get from a basic kind of conversation, if you will, with ChatGPT. And you're going to have to work with it because oftentimes, you know, a new bullet comes out and it's way too long for your, you know, your resume. So you do need to, you know, be part of the person in that. Any other questions? Any questions are good questions, the ones you don't ask.
We have some in the chat that I can read.
Absolutely.
So what tips, perfect. What tips can you offer using AI for inspiration or support in crafting authentic cover letters? Off topic from what we're discussing now, but yeah, cover letters in AI. Is there potential there?
Yeah, I think that you can use the same format with your guide. I know that some people feel Claude is better for cover letters in terms of that. And go ahead and do you find, or I don't know if the person wants to speak out or answer in the chat, like, do you find that you're typically doing a full cover letter, or is it more like a few sentences? Well, either way, you can use the style guide for that. And
Full cover letter, by the way.
oh, it
Full
is.
thing.
Okay, good on you. So so with that, and I do think cover letters make an impact, quite frankly, in this market. So that's great. Is yeah, similar to how you would upload a resume. You would probably, you know, upload, you could keep it in the same job center one, or you could create a separate one if you want for cover letters. And then you know, and with the job, you know, go ahead and prompt Notebook LM and then shift it to chat or Claude. So we just use the resume, right? And the job descriptions.
Thank you. Okay, and then I have one more. This is an interesting process method, but in my experience, at least lately, timing is an issue. So going through this amount of work seems like it would be hard to do quickly. Do you have any comments on that?
No, it's a totally fair question. I think the reality is with anything, right? This is new. And I think you have to find your balance. So I think you have to start using it if you want to. And the neat thing also about using it, by the way, is that for anyone that's like, I'm not sure how to get started on using it more, or you want to learn more, like there's so much applicability to this because now, you know, in interviews, it's also like how to use AI. Maybe not saying it's for your job search, but oh, I was wanting to get, I'm running a business and I used it for this. So yes, it is time consuming. I'm not going to print it out. I think it's about the customization and the personalization. And then if you are very targeted in your job search strategy, it should be pretty, it should be more seamless than it would be if you have all these other industries that you're looking at or types of roles, right? I think it's fine if you're, you know, targeting one or two types of roles. And, you know, but if you're all over the place, it does become, it's challenging no matter what, right? Input, output, what you put in is what you get out. So what I would love is we will still take questions is for those that are still on, tell me one thing that you will take from this session, and it could be anything in the chat if you don't mind, because I do think when someone adds it to the chat, more people will also respond.
That's a good point. Go ahead and add it to the chat instead of
we're working together on this, you know.
Looks like the style guide is a big hit. The style guide.
Great.
And trying out Notebook LM. I personally have never tried it, so this is good inspiration.
Great. I can share the chat here. Yes, the sharing will be recorded. Excellent. And then if you want to just download the style guide now, it's a PDF. If you go to my topmate.io/yourcareerwings, there we've got it there for you, where you can just download it. It comes as a PDF and it's sent to you. And I am not responsible for the different emails you might get from Topmate.
Thank you, Sharon. This was really, really informative.
But
Uh,
I love it. Thank you.
I hope you all enjoyed the session. Mac is putting a link to a very 4-question survey because we're providing these lunch and learns ongoing, and we want to make sure that we get like the right feedback and are trying to find lunch and learns that you actually would be interested in like attending and find valuable. So if you could help us by filling out that 4-question survey, that would be fantastic. We'll also be sending the recording to the session out for you. We have to do a little bit of editing on the front end. But other than that, I mean, I will piggyback on one of the questions that came out in terms of this being a little bit overwhelming. Definitely, like with AI happening, everything's coming at everybody like left and right. It feels like it was an overnight sensation where it's like people were talking about AI and suddenly like AI is everywhere. I would definitely like try to like take it in like chunks. So if maybe your first goal is to just work on your resume, you create your style guide and then maybe throw your resume in there with the job description, see how it's matching, and then throw it in to Notebook LM to kind of see how you can like stylize it so it does sound like you, but you're actually matching the job description. And then later on, once you maybe are in the interview process, then throw it in to Notebook LM to kind of like do research about a company.
Yeah.
It's not super overwhelming right now, but
Yeah, and just to build on that, I know it's a fairly it's a lot. I'm not going to pretend it's not. At the same time, I did want to make sure it's thorough, just so you kind of understood the how-to and not just the why. But I oftentimes like, that saying that Nike has, just do it. It's been around for 35 years, and there is a reason for that. It's because if you have kids or anyone, if someone tells you, well, stop being sad, right? Or why haven't you gotten it done yet? If you just do one thing, if you just sign into Notebook LM, or just just reach out to that one person to connect with, for networking. It's those small actions that you take that build momentum, that actually build clarity, that then allow you to say, I'm not going to use this. And there's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, we're meant to be using technology to help us, or anything in our lives, quite frankly. So my 2 cents for what it's worth. But Denise, back to you. I know you wanted a picture too, so I wanted to, or someone said.
Yes. Could everyone turn on their cameras for like 2 seconds? We love to take like pictures and post it on the EM circle.
Show we're all human.
Yay.
And also just a thank you for everyone that joined, and also very much a big thank you to the team. Again, Danielle, Denise, and Mac. You showed up for this, and I know maybe for some it felt overwhelming, or I hope you got something out of it, but just remember, like, you did this for you. And that's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Have a great rest of the day, everyone. Nice to see
Bye.
you all.
Thank you.